and welcome back to an episode of the Real Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Jacob O'Connor. Real Conversations is a podcast for those dedicated to doing hard things and living a meaningful life. This belief is perhaps best encapsulated by a quote from the great Teddy Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, nor where the doer of deeds could have done them better. No, the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. With that being said, welcome back to another episode of Real Conversations. And today I'm joined by my friend, Eric Hinman. Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How are you, Jacob? Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited. This is maybe our third or fourth episode we've done. It's been a little over a year. And as we were talking about offline, the way that you live your life, the tagline of the podcast is do hard things and live a meaningful life. And I think you embody that very well. And so where I would love to start today is you kind of describing the way that you have set up your life and the intentionality behind that.
Yeah, I mean, the way I've set up my life is designed around my perfect days, and it certainly took a while to get there. But I think that is the holy grail, is if you can design your life around an environment you enjoy being in, the people you enjoy being around, and things you enjoy doing, and you're able to monetize a portion of it. That's wealth, in my opinion. So how I got there, in my early 20s, right out of college, I started a property and casualty insurance agency. And that was an opportunity that my father gave me. He was the manager of a small mutual insurance company in upstate New York. And he gave me a small salary and a company car and kind of set me off to the wolves. And wore a suit and tie for years, went door to door selling commercial property and casualty insurance to mainly campgrounds and marinas. The big lesson I learned during that time period was A, put yourself out there, and B, specializing in something and being known for something is a great way to scale a business. So I specialized in those two markets, campgrounds and marinas, and was able to build a nice book of business of residual income and an asset early in life. And those are two other things that I like to tell people just getting into business is, you know, if you're writing this surviving chapter, doing something that might not be the thing that you want to do for the rest of your life that you're super passionate about, at least do something where you're building an asset that you can eventually sell, or you're building a residual income stream. And I was very fortunate, again, that my father gave me that opportunity to do those things early in life. So from 2002, when I was 21 years old, until 2008, that was my day-to-day, was building up that business. In 2008, I started a software company with a friend, Stephen Von Deek from Syracuse, New York. And we were in Soho in New York City, going around trying to find different restaurants and bars and retail shops and shoe stores. And we were using these maps to get around called Red Maps. And it was, you know, right around when the app revolution was starting. So we probably 5 glasses of wine into the day, we're both like, hey, we should create this mobile app that allows people to get around in New York City and find the places they want to go to. And it was right around the same time when Yelp was launching and Foursquare was launching, a lot of these other check-in type apps and review-based apps and, you know, apps on your phone that would help you get around. So we created these apps called In My Pocket that help tourists get around cool areas of major cities. And it was unsuccessful because we didn't build the software to scale the same way that Foursquare and Yelp did. But through that, we met these really talented entrepreneurs and application designers, software designers from New York City that were going to school in Syracuse. And we teamed up with them, and they allowed us to start taking on business and building apps for others. So that company was really my first like passion project type company. And that's when I realized, you know, you don't have to just trade time for money and do something that you don't enjoy and have this career just to be able to plan the weekends. Like, you can truly do something that you enjoy doing. And I love that. And then after that, I started a gym in upstate New York, which was where my passions were really going. From 2010 to 2014, I had gotten into triathlon, half Ironmans, full Ironmans, and eventually the world championships of Ironman. So fitness became a huge part of my lifestyle. I was training 20, 25 hours a week, So I wanted to start businesses that were more in line with my lifestyle. So I opened up a gym with some business partners in upstate New York called Urban Life Athletics. And then through the gym, I met my business partner in some restaurants that I co-founded called Original Grain and Exo Taco. So, it went from a career in something that I didn't really enjoy, but did enjoy building a business. And I was able to take some valuable skills away from that to, more of a passion project, to like something that just completely weaved in with my lifestyle. And now, as I talk to you today, I'm able to monetize just documenting my life, doing what I want every single day, which a large part of that is exercise, being outside, CrossFit, recovery routines. And I have teamed up with various brands in the health and wellness space that I'm able to promote through my lifestyle. So I'm basically just documenting my lifestyle and, promoting the brands I work with, and also consulting with them, helping them build ambassador programs. Some of the things I did with my prior businesses, my Instagram profile says I build brands, and, now I'm helping others build their brands instead of having my own brands. So, that's where I am today. And a lot of that is just getting to do what I love every single day and what really provides me with fulfillment.
If I ever want to figure out what brands are upcoming or that I should look into, I often go to your Instagram page. And I think that's really cool because like I'm wearing a 10,000 cc shirt right now. Whenever I went to Nashville with Todd Anderson, we were in a SISU Sauna. I love drinking Slate Milk, and the Normal Brand guys from St. Louis are awesome. And just the fact that your life is intersected at all of those areas that I'm now starting to get into, I think it's super fascinating.
Yeah, I've been so fortunate to develop these incredible relationships with people building businesses in verticals that I enjoy. And, that's one of my big metrics for who will I work with is it something that I'm using on a regular basis? And, can I have a great friendship with the founder of the company? The fly to Tokyo rule, would I fly to Tokyo with them?
Mm-hmm.
So, I've just learned over the years that life's short, and I want meaningful relationships with the people I'm interacting with on a regular basis. And business is still a large part of my life. So I want to make sure that I have meaningful relationships and friendships with those people that I'm working with. And, I pick and choose smaller up and coming brands because those are the ones that I feel I can help the most. And I also feel like I can add the most value for my audience and exposing them to the latest and greatest instead of feeling like a billboard for a major brand.
Mm-hmm. Eric, what I want to do now is I'm going to share a picture with you. And as we've talked about the life journey that you've gone on as of recent, or not as of recent, the last, 15 years. All right. So the picture that we're looking at that you guys will be able to see online is Eric at age 28. And I'll say he's maybe less than athletic in this picture. And then a recent picture of Eric on vacation, just absolutely incredible shape, super low percent body fat, like working out every day, all day. Eric, can you describe to me what this change was you made in your life to go from the picture on the left when you were younger to the picture on the right? Because I think in life, most people typically have the opposite progression of they're younger and they're healthier in their younger years. And then as life and the burdens of life start to come upon them, they start to lose track of their health. Things can spiral out of hand.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're a product of your routines. And, at 27, 28 years old, my routines were very different than my routines as I stand here at 43 years old. Back then it was a lot of sitting. I was driving 50,000 miles a year, sitting in a car. I thought Subway was my healthiest option, to get a sub from Subway instead of getting pizza at Pizza Hut. I was in these small towns in upstate New York that didn't have healthy options. And I honestly didn't have the education around how food was affecting my energy levels, my sleep, my aesthetic. And when I turned 28, I hired a personal trainer who helped me start getting back into aesthetically good looking shape. He had me doing CrossFit workouts before CrossFit was really a thing. And then I started running again. I bought a bike, got into triathlon, and then I started doing 2 sessions a day. I'm training with him in the morning, and then I'm doing some kind of either run, bike, swim in the afternoon. And, by 30, 31, I'm doing 3 workouts a day. I'm doing a strength workout and then either a run, bike, and swim the rest of the day. So my routine started to change massively. Health and wellness became a priority. I didn't skip that 5:30, 6 a.m. workout with my personal trainer. I didn't skip that lunch swim. I didn't skip that run late in the day. So I'm working out 3 hours a day. And, with that, my friend group started to change. So the decisions I was faced with were different. It was, do you want to go for a bike ride? Do you want to hit a workout? Do you want to do a triathlon instead of, do you want to go out tonight? Do you want to, go to this fancy restaurant and get a bottle of wine? Like all of the people in my life now were becoming athletes and entrepreneurs. So different friend group. And then, in 2017, when I moved to Denver, my environment changed. It's sunny here almost all the time. Our backyard looks out at the mountains. I can mountain bike right from the house. I can trail run to the summit of mountains right from the house. So when your environment change, it makes your decisions very easy around health and wellness if you're in an activity-oriented city like I am in Denver. So that was the progression. That was routines changing over time. And I needed the accountability, motivation, and mentor knowledge in order to change that part of my life. And then as the routines changed, my friend group changed. And as my friend group changed, my life changed. And I'm like, all right, I want to be in an environment where I can do these things I love with others, tons of others that are doing these exact same things. And, Colorado is a mecca for endurance athletes.
That is very true, especially with the altitude out there. Like if you going up the mountains, oh my gosh, myself who's not acclimated to that, the one time that we met up over there, I was dying.
Yeah, the elevation for sure is going to suck the life out of you as you go up, every 1,000 feet above 6,000, it just gets even worse. I feel like heat and humidity takes even more out of you though than elevation. I really suffer in heat and humidity.
We have plenty of that, Eric.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
Elevation affects me when I get above 10,000 feet, but
Mhm.
not to the same extent that a 90-degree day with humidity is going to affect me.
So as you were just talking about with changing your routines and how that affects your life, that's one thing that I have seen come true in my life as I've gone from not running at all to starting to get into ultra marathons and marathons is having those non-negotiables of, hey, I'm going to go run today. And I may not be a good runner today, but this is going to pay off 3, 6, 12 months from now and help me become a better runner. I think that's true in all areas of your life. What are some of the non-negotiables that you've set up in your life?
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up. So it wasn't really until I got to the World Championships in Ironman that I realized that people who you deem successful, they got there because of the 10,000-hour rule. They put blinders on and they focused on one thing for long enough to become really successful at it. And, it took me 4 years to get to the pinnacle of Ironman. So I now apply that to anything I'm doing. I realize that if I'm just starting in something, let's call it pickleball, I'm not going to be great right out of the gate. But if I do it, for 4 years, 5 days a week, I probably will be really damn good at it. So that's a really valuable lesson I learned with Ironman is that anything really is achievable. The hardest part is just the daily commitment to do one thing because we're faced with so many distractions in today's day and age. So non-negotiables for me would be hitting my morning workout. I time block my calendar, and the first thing every single day is that morning workout. So from 8:30 until 10:30, I'm in a CrossFit gym or I'm in the backyard doing strength and conditioning. And then I block off work time. So, we're chatting right now at 12 o'clock. My work time is generally 10:30 until about 1. That's when I'm taking calls. That's when I'm creating content. That's when I'm on podcasts. And I know that my mind is going to be super clear after having hit that morning workout. So that's why I do that work sprint right after that morning workout. And then I know I only have about 2.5 or 3 hours of dedicated focus for work. And then I have to go exercise again. I was kind of born to move. I was one of those babies that just couldn't sit still right out of the womb. So I still have to move a lot in order to exert my energy that I have throughout the day. So I go off into the mountains and I dedicate 1:30 until 3 o'clock every day to some kind of aerobic outdoor activity. Right now it's mountain biking. I go in phases. Sometimes it's rucking, sometimes it's running, sometimes it's hiking. This time of year, it's a lot of mountain biking. After that, I make a smoothie at the house, and eating healthy also is a non-negotiable throughout the day. I'll sometimes go off the train or off the tracks at dinner time, but lunch, breakfast, those are pretty much the same day in and day out. I want foods that are going to fuel energy and fuel mental clarity. So come back here, make a smoothie, and then I have another little work sprint, 90 minutes or so. So from about 3:30 until 5, I'll do some more work, podcasts, again, brain calls, creating content. And then 5 until 6:30 every day, we have people coming to the house to do contrast therapy. So our routine is 3 rounds, 20 minutes in the SISU Sauna, 5 minutes in the ice barrel. And it's also human connection time. That's generally when I take in-person meetings. Whenever someone messages me to meet up, I'm like, yeah, come over to the house and let's sauna together. I feel like I have the best conversations and form the deepest bonds with people in the sauna. After that, for whoever stays after, I smoke meat on our smoker, have a great dinner, and then wind down at night with my girlfriend, Sarah, in bed by about 9:30 every night, and then up at 6 a.m., rinse and repeat.
That does not sound like a bad day at all.
Great day.
So I could see someone making the argument of, Eric, you've taken it to an extreme. You don't need to work out twice a day. You could just, eat a salad here or there, get a 30-minute workout 5 times a week, and you're living a pretty above average or healthy life. Why is it that you go so hard and have so much focus in this area?
Yeah, so I agree with you. General lifestyle fitness, I'm going way above and beyond what I would need to do for general lifestyle fitness. But I just love the energy I get from the workouts. I feel like I'm the best version of myself, and I have this full cup where I can give back to others if I'm exercising often. So, I mean, that honestly is why I still do the 2 workouts each day. And they're like massive, tiny wins for me. I'm fueled by progress. And one of those things where I know I can find progress every single day is in those workouts. So that's what fuels me. I mean, for others, it, might be more work time. It might be spending time with your family. We all have different perfect days. And the key is figuring out what your perfect day is, where you feel like you have an incredibly full cup and you can give back to others and you feel very fulfilled at the end of the day. I still compete in sports too. I mean, I'm trying to get to the CrossFit Games. We were chatting about this prior to jumping on the podcast. I'm very close to getting there in my age group. I'm 43 now. So, to get there, I have to work out a lot. It's a part of the process. And same with endurance events. I still like putting these self-imposed obstacles into my life, like doing Leadville each year, the mountain bike race, where I have to backtrack my way into finishing it. I have to commit time to mountain biking. At some point, I really want to do Leadman, which is the bike, the 100-mile run, the 50-mile bike, the marathon, and the 10K. I'll have to backtrack my way into that. So for me, exercise, those wellness activities I'm doing every day, they yield this tremendous sense of progress for me, and they fill my cup and they give me tremendous energy.
Yeah, that's one thing that I found. I grew up playing a lot of competitive basketball. And as soon as I went to college and I decided not to play basketball, it was like, okay, I'm lifting and I'm working out, but what's the point of it? And honestly, like it was kind of a demoralizing thought. And then as I got into running and having a race in the calendar, it's like now I have to backtrack and make a planned workout schedule. And the feeling of working towards something, that progress that you said, it's made a huge difference in my life so far. And that's something I didn't realize growing up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was very much chasing the public perception of success in my 20s. I was doing things to satisfy my ego and to satisfy others and to feel successful, but I wasn't truly fulfilled. And it wasn't until I got into Ironman and, I felt so fulfilled after my long runs and my long bike rides and progressing in those. And I'm like, there's something to this. Like, why am I just continuing to chase money to buy fancy suits and fancier watches if that doesn't really fulfill me? So that's ultimately why I shifted my lifestyle to the way it is today.
And I don't want to overlook either. You mentioned that you're working towards competing in the CrossFit Games this year. That's just incredible. I don't know if people fully understand like how big of a deal that is. Talk to the competitiveness of that field and of that sport.
Yeah, so I mean, the CrossFit Open, upwards of 400,000 people register for it every year. Within each age group, 10% move on to quarterfinals. So in my age group, there's about 30,000 people worldwide that move on to quarterfinals. And then from quarterfinals, they take 30 that go to semifinals. So what is that? Like a 0.01%. And then to go to the games, you have to be top 10 in your age group. I finished 14th in the world in the Open this past year. And then I finished 20th in quarterfinals, but was assessed this penalty for a mismeasurement of a tape line, which bumped me down to 50th. So I just missed getting to semifinals this past year, but I'm in the mix. So I'm in that 0.01%. And it's tough. I mean, I'm training twice a week, and I have been doing CrossFit classes dating back to 2009, 2010. So I'm 13 years into this sport. I've made a very dedicated effort the last 5 or so years of, really building up my strength and working on the skill-based movements, working on gymnastics, working on mobility, working on strengthening all the smaller tendons and ligaments to support the heavy weights. So it takes a long time to get there, and it is a very competitive field. It wasn't easy, but it was easier getting to Ironman Kona than it has been to get to the CrossFit Games in my age group.
Really? That's kind of hard to believe. That's crazy.
Yeah. For me, it took 4 years to get to Kona, and it's taken me longer to get to the CrossFit Games. I haven't been there yet.
One of the things that's wild about this to me is the fact that you're 43. I mean, I know people that are slightly older than me, maybe they're 25, and they're sitting there going, I can't play basketball or do this anymore because my knees or my back. Like they're using the old person card. How have you kept yourself young physically?
I mean, it just comes down to your daily structure. It literally is just compounding consistencies. And, my life shifted differently than most people's lives shift in their late 20s. A lot of people are starting families, and, they're focused on their career through that time period. They, bought the house, and they have glass balls. They have kids. They have glass balls they can't drop. And I get that. I 100% get that. And, for me, I leaned into the wellness aspect, and I don't have some of these glass balls that others have that I can't drop. So I had the time to focus on wellness routines. And again, going back to your question of why do you do 2 workouts a day? Like, you don't need to do that, as long as you can maintain some kind of strength and conditioning and an aerobic exercise routine. Like, you can maintain wellness and an incredible physique very late in life. But a lot of people let other things get in the way, and they drop the ball on wellness. And if you drop the ball on wellness, it's definitely difficult to get back into at a high level. You can, there's always opportunity to get back into it. And, I encourage people to find something you enjoy. It could be tennis, it could be hiking, it could be walking. And then, as you get back into it, then start incorporating some of these harder things like strength training and anaerobic conditioning, where you're spiking your heart rate. Because ultimately, I feel like strength training and anaerobic conditioning is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. The harder the output, the more benefits you're going to get from it. So, going for a walk, is it good for you? Definitely. But are you going to achieve this, chiseled physique from it? Probably not. You have to do something that requires high output and is difficult in order to, strain muscle and regrow larger muscle.
What role do you think recovery plays in your overall health?
Recovery is huge. The last 5 years, there's no way I would be able to continue the volume I do if I didn't sauna and ice bath every single night. I also do light and laser therapy, chiropractic, deep tissue massage, dry needling if I tweak something. So yeah, recovery has played a crucial role in my ability to continue training the way I do, and also just like resetting my nervous system. If you're just wound up all the time from all the exercise, like, you're probably going to get burned out. And I did get burned out with Ironman. I wasn't doing a lot of these recovery routines in the Ironman years, and I got burned out from it. So, now that also is just kind of a reset each night when I'm doing the sauna and doing the ice.
This is something that the first time that I remember getting into a real cold stream or ice bath was after I visited you in Colorado. It was behind that library that you had pointed out, I think in Golden, Colorado. And John and I went and we got in this stream, and it was like 38 degrees and we were losing our minds. And yeah, we felt good physically, but something really weird and interesting happened mentally. What do you think, how do you feel after getting in the ice bath and in the sauna, and what that does for you in terms of providing clarity and changing your mood?
Yeah, I mean, there's a massive amount of dopamine released when you have that fight or flight response from getting into extremely cold water. So, I mean, that's why you feel so good afterwards. It's also helping relieve your body of inflammation, increasing blood flow when you're doing the contrast therapy, going from the sauna to the ice. But I mean, the main reason I do it is for that. It's for that incredible mood boost and that mental clarity that I get from it, and the stress resilience. Like, we all have these busy lives, and stress mounts up on us. And, as soon as I sit in cold water for 3 to 5 minutes, I feel like this massive to-do list that is stacking vertically on my head all of a sudden becomes horizontal in front of me. And I can just like tiptoe over all of these to-dos. So I really feel like cold exposure is, in 3 minutes, there's few other things where you're going to get more bang for your buck.
Yeah, it is definitely incredible. Eric, with everything that you have going on in your life, the amount that you're training and the way that you're recovering, the time dedicated to that, how do you make space, and what do you do to unwind and to just give yourself a second to reset?
So mountain biking for me, generally, I'm going by myself. And even if I'm with others, I'm doing it by myself. So, that's 60 to 90 minutes every single day where I have no distractions, and I call it my moving meditation. A couple nights a week, I'll do the sauna or just a hot Epsom salt bath by myself. And then I wind down at night. I mean, I spend about 30 to 45 minutes. I play one game of skip bow with Sarah. That's been our new routine lately. And then I watch YouTube for like 30 or 45 minutes just to try and learn something and wind down before bed. So, I'm pretty go, go, go up until that sauna session. And then the sauna, dinner, wind down, that's the nighttime routine. So I'm making sure that my nervous system, isn't, isn't revving at full speed right before bed. And that, my mind also isn't super engaged right before bed. I avoid highly stimulating environments late at night. I rarely am going out to concerts or late night parties. And I know if I do that, I'll probably pay for it. So I am cognizant of that. It is important to have your solitude and to have some wind down so that you can sleep well at night. And also the solitude part so that you can make time and space to make something of all of these dots you collect over time.
Is that a firm rule that you won't go out at night? Or I'm just trying to think, how do you balance like the experience you may have from going out and it's a late night and your recovery may suffer a little bit, but it's a memory you'll have in the future?
Yeah, I mean, unless I feel like it is worth disrupting my next day, then I'm not partaking. So, for example, if I get invited to a late night dinner party in LA with a bunch of other influential people in the health and wellness space, I'll probably go to it because I
Mhm.
know that is going to be really beneficial. The connections I'm going to make from it, the conversations, and what I'm going to learn from it. But if it's just going out to a bar and it's, small talk conversations, I'm not interested because
Yeah.
my next day is better than those small talk conversations. So that's how I weigh it. If I know it's going to disrupt my next day, so it better be worth disrupting the sleep that will affect my next day of activities.
Yeah, that is a really difficult thing to weigh out and to value whenever you're younger. I think as you get older, you start to think more cognitively of like, I don't want to mess up the next day. But when you're
Mhm.
younger, it's easier to be like, oh, we're in the moment. This seems like a great idea.
Yeah, I agree. And I was the same way up until, again, 28 or 29. Like, I was very much just kind of going through the motions and not really mindful of if I was fulfilled or not. It was just the routine. Go out Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. That's how you have fun. And, all day Sunday, you lay on a couch and eat Taco Bell. And hopefully on Monday, you have some mental clarity to start working again.
Right.
Um, but, then I got into triathlon and I'm like, I feel so much better, so much more energized, so much more mental clarity, and there's no downside to it. I'm sleeping well. And then it negated all of the downside to the other fun that I was having. So I stopped doing it. And it wasn't like ripping a band-aid off. It was a
Mhm.
gradual phasing out of that life and phasing into this life. But ultimately, I'm like, that is diminishing my ability to enjoy these new things I enjoyed doing during the day. And the days became more important to me than the nights. Like, my days were more epic than my nights were.
So for you in that natural progression, why was triathlon the first kind of big shift you had opposed to maybe running or just swimming or just biking?
Um, it was all consuming. I just became obsessed with getting to the world championships. Um, my first race, I almost drowned in the swim. So there was this like challenge aspect to it of like, I want to get better at this, but I passed a lot of people in the bike and the run. So it was also empowering that like, I think I can be pretty good at this sport. So, those two things coupled with each other, they really fueled me to want to advance in the sport. And when I hired a coach, all of a sudden I had this mentor who had already gotten where I wanted to go and had the knowledge that he was able to share with me as long as I executed on a daily basis that would get me there. So I just became obsessed with the process. That's ultimately what it was. And I didn't have anything else in my life prior to that where there was this foreseeable outcome that I could just like backtrack my way into.
Do you still have coaches that you use now?
I don't have any coaches right now in the moment, but I still follow programming. I follow Matt Frazier's programming, HWPO for CrossFit. He's someone who has achieved at a very high level in the sport that I'm training for. So, I'm following his guide with his programming. And with Leadville, like I wrote out my own plan. So, I'll have a little spreadsheet with rides I want to hit every single day in order to build the volume to be able to finish and do well at Leadville. And I have this 60-mile mountain bike race coming up in Austin in November. So I wrote out a plan for it. I've done it enough now with some of this stuff, to understand myself how to get to where I want to go. Where I'm still learning is, scaling the business side, content creation. So that's more where I'll surround myself with people that are better than me at those things to learn from them.
That's smart. Eric, as we start to wrap up here, I have a couple questions for you. The first one being, I'm just genuinely curious. Let's say for some reason in a hypothetical world, you could only do one form of recovery, sauna or ice bath. Which one are you picking?
That's such a hard question. I've gotten asked that a number of times. So I'm picking cold exposure
Okay.
because you only have to do it for 3 to 5 minutes and you get significant benefits. I love sauna because I love the human connection aspect of sauna. And that is very, very fulfilling to me. But from a physical recovery standpoint, from a stress resilience standpoint, mental clarity, endorphin boost, cold exposure, again, there's nothing else I know of where you're going to get more bang for your buck with no downside.
I think it's more fun to watch someone get in an ice bath for the first time than a sauna.
I would agree with that. Yeah, the sauna is a slow burn. I get more uncomfortable, honestly, in the sauna now than I do in the ice barrel. But yeah, the ice barrel is just instant shock to your system. It's like jumping into a 2-minute CrossFit workout where it's just like instantly it slaps you in the face.
How hot do you keep your sauna?
We run the sauna around 200 degrees. I can crank it to 230, 240, but that's a little uncomfortable and it just kind of cooks your brain. So we like it around 200, and that's, we'll sit in there for about 20 minutes.
That's not too bad at all. Eric, where can people find you online if they want to connect or learn more?
Best place is just my name on Instagram, Eric Hinman, my website, erichinman.com. But yeah, if you guys have any questions in the wellness space, I love interacting with others. So just DM me.
Awesome. And then you can find us at the Jacob OC and at Real Conversations on Instagram. And if you guys enjoyed this episode or got any sort of value, please make sure to share the link with a friend. It helps us grow. Eric, for my last question, looking back at this incredible journey that you've been on, what advice would you offer to your 22-year-old self?
Movement is medicine. Just move more. Movement is going to make you feel better when, life gets in the way, when you feel like you're on this roller coaster ride and all of this stress is building up. Like, movement really has been my medicine, and I use it to, gain energy, to have mental clarity, to have positive energy, and to feel fulfilled. So that's what I would tell my 22-year-old self is, just exert yourself and you'll feel better.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Jacob.